Welcome to the Porn Reboot podcast, where you get practical tips to gaining control over your porn or sex addiction. We help ambitious men end their out-of-control sexual behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation so that you can maximize your life, perform at your potential, and remain in control in the driver's seat, which is where you have to be in order to gain or maintain the success you want in life. I'm your host, J.K. Emezi, certified sex and porn addiction recovery coach. Welcome to the episode. Brothers, anyone can talk the talk, but not everyone can walk the walk. And that's why here at Porn Reboot, where we do walk the walk, I'll be sharing every few episodes some snippets of success stories and testimonials from brothers who are in our implementation intensive and in our free groups. And they're going to be sharing some of the results they've been getting so that this can further inspire you to take action on all the different tips and techniques that you learn while listening to the Porn Reboot podcast. Enjoy.
What is going on, Reboot team? Chris here with yet another testimonial from somebody who's coming to us from our exclusive Reboot implementation program, someone who's active with us right now, and someone who's been with us for a while, and we're going to get to know his journey, his story, what he's learned, and where he's at compared to how he started. I am here with Brandon. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, dude. And like I said right before we started recording, I'm looking forward to this discussion because, like I said, I know you've been with us for a while, and I want to hear about, your journey. But really, before we dive into any nitty gritty, how did you, at the very, very beginning, discover the program to begin with?
Well, it was really just kind of getting fed up and doing a web search. And you guys' post came up. So it's like, well, let's try this one. And we gave it a shot.
Literally same exact thing for me. So how did you know, you kind of came to that last straw type of moment? How did you feel when, you were trying to going down that rabbit hole, going down okay, I need some sort of help?
I've got help before. I did professional help, with more of a family therapist. Me and my wife and I did it together. And it worked for a while, but it's kind of more of I need a different approach, which some of the things he said applied, but this had a lot more of a comprehensive system and really more of a group. That's what I was kind of trying to find, is more of a group and people to work with.
Like a community.
Community, yeah. Better to be community. But trying to do it one-on-one with my wife. We had some successes, we had some setbacks, but that was kind of I need something more.
No, totally. I think it's a really relatable path. A lot of guys who are married, they go through different, ways of trying to heal both on their own and obviously as a couple, and obviously share as much as what you're comfortable with sharing, no pressure. But how do you feel like your behavior at the time was, impacting your relationship?
I think when we went through the whole analysis that the program offered, we both pushed where I was at. It was one where, yeah, we definitely needed help, or I definitely did help. So hopefully I'm answering your question on that one, but it was really kind of just seeing myself in a state that I was and realizing I can't get it out on my own. And my wife and I were both frustrated. We wanted to get better. I mean, the fact that she's been with me and stayed with me is a really good testament to her, because I was trying, but it wasn't working very well. Does that answer your question?
No, I think it paints the picture, man, and talk to me about the moment when you knew that, okay, I like what I see here, when it comes to this Reboot program. And you had mentioned, you had seen some stuff from JK, is that right?
I did the search, and there was a few testimonials on there of guys who were successful with it that helped out. And that was a big part of it, but there wasn't very many programs that had claimed that they had a success rate like that, or that they were, so that was kind of the big appeal. So I was like, well, you don't have very many programs that are claiming that they can do it. It's more of, here's a program, try this, and we'll see if it works kind of a thing. So that was the big appeal.
Definitely. And here you are, in this program. Talk to me a little bit about some of the changes that you've noticed within yourself, now that you have, had some experience under your belt, learned some things, implemented tools, and, been introduced to that community you might have been looking for. How do you feel you're at now compared to when you started?
I think the big thing on that where I'm at and where I was before is, I say, better self-awareness, but also, one of the cool things or really great things that the community teaches you is forgiving yourself and not being so hard on yourself. Trying to get rid of your negative thoughts and understanding hey, you're not perfect, and getting rid of that shame cycle that we're talking about. That's been a huge part. The tools like journaling and doing the wins and identifying how you are making progress, the irrational, rational thoughts, and just dialoguing with your essence. Those have been really the big tools, and routine, having that self-care, that time at night for you to, I like to go out to walk. So I do about a 3 mile walk at night, and that's my time to meditate and do some self-care and just overall thinking in my reboot. And that's been a huge factor as well. And I mean, it's been noticed by my wife. She says I'm a lot better than when I was before.
That's good, man.
So
I mean,
it's been a both mutual thing. We've had ups and downs, but more of an open conversation. I mean, it's a journey.
it is a journey, man, and it must feel like really, really. It's one thing to like notice the changes in yourself, but sometimes it helps to get that confirmation from somebody else. Like, how did it feel to know that, like, yeah, like I've noticed changes in you? Like, how did that feel?
That felt really good, Like she said, she doesn't know how to put it. I mean, the program costs a lot, but we don't miss the money. Where we are at now, yeah, I'd say I'm happy with my progress. I feel that there's a lot more of my journey to go, but it's those small steps that are getting us there, and I feel that I will eventually get there where I want to be. And I feel that the compulsive behavior has really been shut down with the boundaries and creating those barriers. Like desire is slowly fading over time. It's not as strong as it used to be. So that's where we get to. But it's progress, progress over perfect. And that's the thing, is just recognizing you're not going to be perfect, but there is definitely improvement from when I started. A huge improvement.
That's
You
really
don't see it, but when you look back, like, well, I'm not going all deliver these places. I'm not doing these things.
I love that, man. So talk to me about some of those small steps. Like, for example, like within your time on the program up until this point, like what have been some tools that have proven to help you out?
All right, so with the boundaries, like some of the biggest one is getting the app blockers, Facebook purity. Getting your Facebook layout was huge because that was a big one for me. Like being able to post but not go into the reels. That was the one that really getting good at Facebook purity and eliminating those avenues so I could just focus on the reboot and cut that out. That's been a huge tool. And also the app blockers, Covenant Eyes. I'm getting rid of all the apps that could lead me to that has eliminated those urges a lot. As far as the tools, like I say, the journaling every day and your dialogue with your essence, that was really a big one. Like just talking to that positive self rather than just focusing on the negative and trying to reach and go more of that. And that's been a really discovery tool for me.
Me too. I mean, that tool in itself was an absolute game changer for me, particularly with, like you said, dialoguing with your essence. I know what it's like to focus so much on what's going wrong and what I'm not accomplishing and what I'm falling behind on, and sort of discounting or discrediting the things that I am doing well in, or the things that I am growing in and learning about. I used to just kind of whip myself for not being where I want to be yet, as opposed to celebrating the steps I'm taking to get there. That in itself is part of the rebooting process, So I can definitely relate. And one thing that really helped me was, like we talked about, like the community aspect, and sort of on that wavelength in the name of that community. What's your experience been like having accountability partners?
Accountability partners, I mean, I've learned quite a bit from, like David. The big one that I learned from him was him not wanting to learn, like his big turn with the program. And he's kind of done a little bit with AA and getting rid of alcohol in his life too. That was a big trigger, but it was him trying to, he just, the realization he just didn't want to live with the shame anymore. He didn't want to go his life with that shame. And that was a turning point to where he started resisting that one. Mine was, and yeah, he's kind of been a big go-to guy for that one. So that's been one of my better accountability partners. So a lot of good lessons on.
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, there's just some of those like little lessons on that one, and just having other people that understand where you're at and where you're coming from, and just being able just to be open. I think that's been a big part of that transparency and that accountability.
Yeah, this might be maybe like a straightforward question, but I only ask it because guys, from my experience as someone who's been through the program and speaking to guys 24/7, that transparency aspect, can be difficult to really undergo and give yourself permission to do. There's understandably at first some walls up, some uncertainty, some hesitancy when it comes to being vulnerable, like being real, like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm actually feeling, because we've been so used to escaping whatever those things might be as opposed to ultimately embracing them. But from your experience and just from your own perspective, why is that transparency piece so important?
I think on that one, it just gets it off your chest. You unload it, and it seems like the shame leaves when you're when you're talking about it, because that shame thrives in isolation. That's the thing with pornography, is the isolation effect that it has. When you're in a community and you're sharing, you're being open, that shame doesn't have a hold on you. That's what the thing that I've noticed on that one is, it eliminates the shame faster if you're just, hey, I'm messing up and here I'm trying to fix it here. That's where that shame cycle is what it prevents.
So good. So good. And I love that you touched upon that shame aspect, because not that I love the shame aspect, but just it's such a relatable thing. Especially that could be the primary blockade or obstacle towards someone actually reaching out for help. It's like, oh, I don't want to admit this, or I don't want to come to terms with it, right? And if this conversation makes it to the YouTube channel or podcast or whatever, odds are pretty high that whoever comes across this conversation probably has a history of that shame, or at least a history of this type of behavior that we're alluding to, right? Having learned what you've learned so far, like, is there anybody, well, let me word it this way. Having learned what you've learned so far, is there anything you might want to share with that particular person? Just someone who is sort of suffering in silence in the way that you and I know about fairly well, like sort of feeling like I can't jump over this hurdle of shame, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean, is there anything you might want to share with that person?
So is it kind of like directed people that might be looking at this program, or just in general on that one? Kind of a
Just
little bit
in
more
general.
context of one.
Yeah, for now, just in general, because, we know how common of an issue, this world of behaviors is, and for someone who doesn't feel like they can talk to somebody about it, doesn't feel like they should talk to somebody about it, even if they could, that shame aspect, like, oh, if I admit it, I have to face it, and for someone who might have some trepidation or maybe fear around that, having learned and having experienced what you've had so far in this program, what might you share with someone like that?
I would say that the growth to change isn't going to come if you're not willing to reach out. Like, there's a lot of changes that I've implemented because of this that I wouldn't have if I hadn't taken that risk. So, I mean, learning about all the different tools you have, all the different blockers, those have been huge to eliminate a lot of the avenues of approach where pornography was coming into my life very easily. And I wouldn't have known those unless I was working with people who've been successful in blocking those aspects of their life and saying, hey, do this, or hey, try this, or hey, this tool works really well. Like, I had no idea about Facebook. Now, granted, I wasn't really had a problem with Facebook in the past, but there was other avenues like, well, okay, well, let's look at other ways I can block some of these other sites, and it works. Once you start blocking those avenues, that urge starts to dissipate. Now you're just dealing with more of your internal and brain work, how you're thinking, how you're reacting. So in the long run, the short on that one is you can either continue to, there's a risk either way, but if you're in that shame cycle, you're just going to stay the same. You're not going to change. You can't do it on your own.
I love that you worded it that way, because it's so real. And I suppose a bit of a follow-up question, would you then recommend this program?
I would, yeah.
So there you go. I really appreciate you sharing that, man. And like I said, for anybody who happens to be watching or listening, take it from Brandon. He is someone who is continuing to progress in his reboot. And like you said in the beginning, it's a journey, but I mean, the cliche applies. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So we hope that this encourages you. And, well, Brandon, thank you so much for your time, brother. All the best.
I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Porn Reboot podcast. I'll speak to you later on in the week. If you found this episode helpful, here are 4 ways I can help you with your out-of-control sexual behavior for free. The first way is to grab a free copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men at elevatedrecovery.org, or visit the link in the description below this episode. The second way is, if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, if you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals and business owners who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot group on Facebook. There's a link to join in the description below this episode. The third way is, if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally or emotionally, you're about to lose your relationship, you want to live up to your potential, be an authentic man, and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving, then click on the link in the description below this episode that says free coaching call. And the fourth way is to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy this podcast, so that we can reach more men who are struggling in silence and bring back the lessons we learn from coaching them to freedom.